Not long ago, the United States authorized, I think it was $4.7 billion to go to our network of concentration camps all over the country. And you might think that with that kind of money, you can afford to fund pretty much everything. But they did find one thing they can't afford, and that is stopping kids in those camps from dying of easily preventable illnesses. The US won't be vaccinating migrant families in holding centers ahead of this year's flu season, despite calls from doctors to boost efforts to fight the infection that's killed at least 3 children at detention facilities in the past year. So this is not just a thing where you'd think, yeah, ahead of the flu season, especially in crowded conditions, you'd want these people to have these vaccinations. But there have already been deaths from this particular illness, and doesn't matter. They're not going to be doing the vaccinations.
There's, I don't know if we can get into more details about where this is going, but at least the reasoning behind it. So I'll save it for that point. But this is continuing the same policies that they said that they've gone away from. First, the whole thing about the cruelty of making sure that these damn migrants that come up know that we mean business. You come up here, you're gonna suffer. This is just another aspect of it.
It's more cruelty.
It's the other things didn't work. The scare tactics about the number of caravans coming up funded by George Soros didn't work. The separation of families after it even came to a head didn't work. Because I'm not sure if they think people watching CNN on their phones while they walk up in the middle of the desert. I'm not sure what they think is going on, but none of that is working. So they're just trying the next phase of this.
Yeah. Well, they give an argument for why they're not going to be doing the vaccinations. We'll see if that will make you feel better about the situation. So this is a spokeswoman who had an emailed statement from CBP who said, in general, due to the short-term nature of CBP holding and the complexities of operating vaccination programs, neither CBP nor its medical contractors administer vaccinations to those in our custody. Here's the thing, while the holdings should be short-term, it has been the official policy of the Trump administration to make them as long as possible, possibly forever. We don't know, honestly, how long you're gonna be in there. And so that argument doesn't hold much water, unfortunately.
Well, John, you're there speculating. You're saying that it's possible that they're gonna hold them forever. The Trump administration on Wednesday said it would unveil a new rule that would allow migrant families to be held indefinitely. What does that word indefinitely mean?
It could mean a long time.
Ending a procedure known as the Florida Settlement Agreement that requires children to be held no longer than 20 days.
Yeah.
So this in conjunction with no longer administering any kind of flu shots. The reason they're not gonna administer any flu shots is because, hey, these kids have to get out of there soon. So after you say that they're not gonna be there very long because the nature of our holding policies, the nature of our holding policies has changed to where we don't release them any kind of way soon. Yeah. So now you're conflicting again, and it goes back to the end game of brutality.
I've just got another email from CBP spokesperson who says they are shocked and chagrined to find out that people are gonna be held there for a really long time. Yeah, so let's give you some details on what's happened already. Tragically, at least 3 children who were held in detention centers after crossing into the US from Mexico have died in recent months, in part from the flu, according to a letter from several doctors urging Congress to investigate health conditions at the centers. And I do also urge them to investigate health conditions, but I would say that even before that investigation, maybe give people the vaccinations. If you are holding people in horrible conditions with, it's not temperature controlled, the hygiene, as we've been told, is not good, they're not allowed to shower and things like that, soap is in rare supply. With all of those things added together, the idea that you would throw a little bit of disease into the mix, especially as your public messaging around this issue is saying, we don't want these people because they're diseased, as is commonly said on Fox News. It seems, again, willfully to be creating the conditions where more people will die. Now, 3 kids have already died. To give you an idea of the numbers, previously, before the Trump administration, we'd gone almost a decade without any children dying under US immigration custody. Now we've had 3 in a matter of a couple of months. The US death rate in children from the flu is about 1 in 600,000. So far, 3 have died out of 200,000 held at detention facilities, so the conditions are obviously far worse statistically. And they are choosing to make it worse. And so my question would be, okay, so if you make the decision we're not gonna vaccinate, and then we get a report from Public Citizen or Ken Klippenstein or whoever, it turns out in the next 6 months, 10 kids die, or 50 kids die, or 200 kids die, who's gonna go to jail for that? Who's gonna lose their job over that? For the willful decision to create the conditions that has an inevitable outcome, which is more kids dying of the flu.
That's their job
Nobody.
to do that. That's their job to do it. Now, I want to stress that whole thing about we'd almost gone a decade without any children dying in U.S. Immigration custody. Trump likes to compare himself to other presidents all the time, specifically Obama. So if there was all this like flood of immigrants coming in that he didn't care about because he just let them just come in, and then none of them died. No one was held in these kind of conditions. You have to look at the one variable factor here is that you're in office now, and this many children have died when previously none had. So you have to admit this is happening under your watch. Even though you said those flood of immigrants coming in from all these other presidents, if they're still coming in under you, or maybe they're coming in a lesser degree, which you've also claimed, how are we losing children as well? It's because your policies directly create that situation. There's no denying that.
Kids dying from easily preventable illnesses. Wait until the pro-life community hears about that. They're gonna be so mad. But anyway, it's a tragedy and unfortunately probably leading to more in the future. Here on the Damage Report, we talk a lot about the big banks and their ways of getting rich off the poor. They saturate the market, but there are other options. And I've got info on a socially and environmentally responsible financial institution that has no ATM fees, gives you cash back on every purchase. They even commit 10% of their earnings to charity. It's called Aspiration, and if you go to aspiration.com/TYT to sign up, you'll get these perks, and that's more money to spend or to save or to spend. Just treat yourself.